Welcome back. Since the arraignment of the young boys in court, reactions have continued to trail the development. Let's have this conversation with Victor Opatola, lawyer and a human rights activist, and Ifenla Oligbinde, lawyer and inclusion advocate. Both of them are with us in the studio. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us in the studio here. Let me start, with you, Ifenla. Nigeria is a signatory to international treaty on child rights, and in 2003, if you remember, under the former President Olusegun Obasanjo did adopted the Child Right Act to domesticate the conventions on the child right. And in 2016, if you look at it, was codified. And so the question will be, how well has Nigeria obeyed, or will I say comply with the convention on child rights?
I think it's a matter of res ipsa locutus, which means the fact speaks for itself. I mean, if we had gone so far, as much as doing what is proper, what is necessary, what is attached and in tandem with equity, good conscience, and justice, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I think the reality on ground and what is going on, or rather what has been going on for the past 2 days, speaks to the fact that we're saying that the country has ratified it and everything, it's just we speaking grammar. As to execution and implementation, Nigeria is far and is getting further from where it should be.
But let me come to you. What has been your reaction or concerns, since this development? Of course, we've had quite a lot of reactions. Even the Minister the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, they have also reacted, including the Ministry of Women Affairs as well. They've also reacted to these. So how would you like to react?
For me, it shows that Nigeria is not a nation, it's not a country of consequence. We are not a country that allow consequences of action to happen. You know, in saner climes, queries will have been flying up and down right now. The country will be shaking because of the magnanimity of the ludicrous issue that just happened recently. Right, starting from the police that arrested these children, to the police that allowed these children to be detained, to every individual who saw the case file of these children and raised no outcry, down to the Inspector General of Police, down to the legal department that sanctioned these children to be arraigned in court, down to the correctional service department that allowed these children to come into the correctional service, and there's no outcry, there's no query as to the fact that these children are in correctional centers. Everybody should be sanctioned. That is the right thing that ought to happen. And apart from that, it also goes to show, because the fact that the president has said the Attorney General should wade in, some other person should wade in, it is not enough. What ought to happen are that system ought to be put in place to ensure that this outcry will not be a one-time outcry. What if those children did not collapse yesterday? So that means the trial would have continued. That means there would have been no outcry. What the system ought to do is to ensure, starting from the Attorney General ought to ensure that never again will this kind of thing happen. And this outcry is just funny, because when you look at it, record will show that per time there are children in various correctional centers all over the country. Record will show that there are children that are tried as adults in various courts all over the country. Record will show that there are children that are not given the benefit of the Child Rights Act.
Let me quickly comment. Let me also remind you that, the Attorney General of the Federation has also asked the public prosecutor to bring the case.
It is not enough.
To bring the case to his office, perhaps that should be able to address the issue.
It is not enough. It is not about a one-time occurrence. What about other people who went through this kind of system in Ibadan? I know for a fact an underage child who was convicted, who went through this kind of process in Ibadan and convicted to about 25 years imprisonment. An underage child, until lawyers came pro bono to represent the child, make an appeal, and the court of appeal came down heavily on both the police and the judge that handled this matter. So queries ought to be flying up and down right now as we talk in this country. The police, the legal department, down to the IG. This nation must be a country of consequence. It must not be a one-time occurrence, a one-time outcry. There must be consequences for action. It is not just for the president to just tell the Attorney General of Police and the whole thing will die down. Everybody who saw this case file of these children and raised no outcry must be called out for it. They must be queried. It is not enough that it's only this one time, then after this one time, what will happen? What about other children who are going through these processes in other states of the Federation? That means there will be no system and this thing will happen again. And as I said earlier on, these things are happening. It is just this one-time occurrence that is leading to national outcry. And it also goes to show there are not a nation of consequence. In other climes, the country will be shaking right now. The National Assembly will lead a probe into this issue, from the Correctional Service to the Attorney General's office to the police.
Let me come to you, Ifenla. I mean, Part 20 of the Child Rights Act, this state where, I mean, the privacy to trial of the boy child, that be the girl child. But if you look at it, it looks like this is complete violation of that. And will it be right to say that the court did ignore that part as clearly stated? That's one question. And another question, what position are you taking on this particular case? Yeah,
so thank you for the two-in-one question, right? I think, and now we are getting deeper into the substance of the issue itself. And I don't want us to start from the Child Rights Act or what my position would be. Let's start from the charge sheet itself, what the children are being alleged to have done, which basically is treason. And so the question begs to be asked that what are the objects, what are the ingredients of treason? The allegations that these children are being accused of, does it relate, does it connect, is it connected to treason? I mean, these children were obviously just, clamoring against hunger in the land. It's basic civil protest. So the question then remains that at what point can we say that civil protest equates to treason or equates to the children saying that they want to take over the government, that they want to, remove the president and what have you. So that's on one angle. And in situations like that, we know what qualifies for treasonable act. When you see, and again, another thing, these children were being accused of holding some other countries, the Russian flag, and it's obvious that these children are not just hungry, psychologically, mentally, and emotionally. They are challenges. These are children on the streets. Majority of them are Almajiri children. I don't want to go into the Almajiri system or conversation on that because that's another ballgame.
But what the prosecuting counsel is saying is that, yes, you talk about what qualifies a crime to be treason.
Yes.
What you're saying is that they are in connivance with other elements in the system to topple the government.
How?
That's what the prosecuting counsel is saying.
There is even no evidence to that fact, number one. Number two, if that was the case, then the law is so clear as to, even if you want to charge them, the law is clear as to how you charge adults compared to how you charge children. So now we are coming into the Child Rights Act itself. And it's so clear. Number one, 48 hours is just even the maximum within which you need to detain someone. These children, now someone, whether an adult or otherwise, but then even if it is a child, you don't place that child in the same place as an adult. Number one. Number two, these children have been there in detention for more than 3 months, so about 93 days. Right? And so it speaks to the fact that there is a huge lacuna, not just lacuna, we have a leaking system, we have a leaking criminal, justice system. Our criminal administration system is leaking, and it's so obvious. Yeah. Like my colleague said, the reason why we are in this situation now is not because these things have not been happening, but it's because it's a big sham on us.
Yes, let me come to you, Victor. Of course, he did talk about the fact that we shouldn't equate this to treason. That this is not enough to call a treasonable crime. But part of the argument of the council, prosecuting council, is that these people, they are adults. In short, he even said some of them are married. So the question will be, how do you determine adulthood? By birth, by look, or by certificate?
I have listened to what the prosecuting counsel said. I've also listened to the police PRO, what he said. And with all due respect to them, to say it mildly, with all form of euphemism, their position is a mixture of comedy and emotion. Now, for the prosecuting counsel to say that these children, that they are not children, they are adults, what we see, what the whole country see openly in various news outlets, for the prosecuting counsel to also state that these children, they want to topple the government, they are flying frivolous statements such as they are flying Russian flag. He is a lawyer. Which law, which criminal offense, since when does it become a criminal offense to fly a foreign country flag in this country? So, like I said earlier on, they are just, I don't want to be, there are just too many people, because this is a national scandal. And the problem is apparently a lot of people are seeing it from the political angle. The police believe they are an extension of the presidency, in the sense that they believe it is their duty to protect the political interest of the president. They do not believe that it is their interest to protect the lives and to protect Nigerians. They see themselves as an extension of the presidency to protect his interest. I also saw what the first PRO, what he mentioned, and it is also sad. He was quoting the young juvenile law. If you understand the legal situation in the country, you will understand that the Children's Act is superior, is the extant law when it comes to issue of children in this country. And all this position, my take is, they are more emotional, they are more political in their view. And it is very, very sad, to say the least.
I mean, the government has also, the prosecuting counsel has also pointed that flagging the flag of other countries,
that's why I said it's a shame. I don't want to.
Are you saying it's not against the law to flag?
I don't want to, be too,
Okay, but let me.
It is sad for a lawyer to say flying the foreign flag of a country is a criminal offense. Which law is he quoting?
And I think, apart from asking or wondering what law, which law supports or does not support that, we need to consider the fact that when looking at the criminal offense of treason, it goes to an organized crime with intention. Right, with intention to take over government. Now, when you look at the surrounding situation on ground, there is nothing close to that. So we beg to question, when can we say that holding another country's or fielding another country's flag amounts to wanting to take over government? Because what these children were clamoring for, and we have evidence all around with pictures, videos, was just because of hunger. Well, it's because of hunger, and so we didn't see any situation. Again, it comes to insecurity, which is Boko Haram. We see the two difference. Now, with the Boko Haram situation, I know it's a sensitive situation, right? But the Boko Haram situation, we see a group of people, organized crime situation, in which they are not flying the country's flag, but their own flag, with intention to cause chaos and anarchy, and they are so bold about it. So now we are talking about children, minor, which the Constitution, the Child Rights Act, the UBEC Act, and several other, even international, provisions, makes to and talks to the fact that how do you handle children or minor in situations like this? So I think that the federal government and the necessary law enforcement coming under the umbrella of treason, I think it's just chasing the wind.
Okay, all said and done, isn't this a reflection of the current state of the justice system in Nigeria? What happened to the administration of the criminal justice? Talking about the administration of criminal justice in Nigeria, Has it been tested? I mean, it's over 5-6 years now. What is the level of implementation now? Perhaps we would also need to spotlight that in this conversation as we wrap up.
I mean, yes, again, just like what I said in the first question you asked me, I believe that if our criminal justice system, our criminal administration system, if it was doing what it ought to do, we wouldn't even be in this situation to start with. And again, it's unfortunate that this conversation is all political, right? And it's giving the bearing of politics. And so of politics in the sense that, and that's why we have 3 tiers of government. We have the judiciary, we have the executive, and we have the legislature, right? And all 3, each of these tiers are supposed to work independently.
Okay. Permit me to butt in a bit. Let's take that particular excerpt from what the prosecuting counsel said, and then of course we can come back and wrap up.
All of them are adults. Most of them are married men. None of them is a minor. Some of them are university graduates. The small kids you are seeing here, they came with some of their parents to come and greet their loved ones. They are not even the real suspects standing trial in this case. These boys were arrested in Kaduna and Zaria.
All right, there you have it. But let me, before we wrap up on this conversation, let me come to you, Victor. So how should we uphold the Child Right Act? I mean, it's been codified, for the protection of the minors, but it seems that we've not been able, and if you have to, again, spotlight some other agencies, the National Human Rights Commission is there, and of course you also have the Committee on Child Right Implementation as well. So how haven't been able to, explore all of these, institutions and agencies and committee in all of this conversation?
Let me tell you the truth. Nigeria is not interested in implementing any Child Rights Act. Nigerian system, what it does is undercut its young ones. It undercuts them economically, it undercuts them politically, it undercuts them socially, it undercuts them legally. From what we have seen so far, I'm a lawyer. From what we have seen so far, Nigeria is not interested. It's not even interested in paying common lip service to the Child Rights Act. The states are not interested. The content of the Child Rights Act are lofty content. Anybody who has taken the rigor to go through those content will laud the content of the Child Rights Act or the Child Rights law of any state. But what do we see? What becomes obvious is that the Nigerian system is not interested in implementing any Child Rights Act. The best the Nigerian system will do or has done is that it has enacted it into law, and the best the system will do is to practice it in absentia, practice it by not practicing it. That's the best it will do.
All right.
And what I know so far is that given what we know about the system, like I said earlier on, the system is not interested in that. The system is not interested in implementation of the Child Rights Act. What the system is implemented in is undercutting its young ones.
I think we'll have to leave it there. Hopefully, of course, the Attorney General of the Federation has waded into the matter, and we'll have other ministry, trying to address the issue. Perhaps we'll get the results that we desire. Thank you so much, Opatola Victor, lawyer, and Ifenla Oligbinde, lawyer and inclusion advocate. Thank you for coming on Newsnight.
Thank you.